The UK government likes to promote Britain as world-leading in many respects, often with absent or minimal evidence. But there is one area in which Britain does truly lead the world that the government is curiously reticent to talk about. And that area is money laundering. Over the last decade, there has been a succession of global mega scandals involving billions, tens of billions, hundreds of billions of dollars, all being moved through the global financial system and ending up who knows where in the pockets of criminals who are able to enjoy them. And at the heart of all of these scandals has been one world-leading British export, the Shell Company. In this short film, I'm going to look at why UK companies became so central to so many money laundering scandals, and what the UK government is doing about it and how they could be doing much more. But first, let's back up and look at why this matters. Many of the worst crimes anywhere in the world, people smuggling, drug smuggling, kleptocracy, all of these things are fueled by the criminals' desire for money. And in order to enjoy that money, they need to get it into the global financial system so it is indistinguishable from the legitimate kind of money that you or I might earn. Once upon a time, this was really easy. All they had to do was go into a bank with a big bag of money, give it to the cashier, here you are, and the cashier would take it, put it in their account, no questions asked. But over the years, money laundering regulations have got much tighter, and now banks are obliged to be suspicious about the origin of the wealth of their clients, and that means their clients, the criminals, have had to get much cleverer. How have they done that? They have aimed to put as much distance as they can between the crime they've committed and the money in the bank. And the way they do that is they own the money via a shell company. Now, I know what you're thinking, because I know what most people think when the word shell company is mentioned. Normally we think of a tax haven somewhere, perhaps in the Caribbean, a sunny place for shady people. Over the years, they were implicated in so many scandals and that they raised so many red flags for regulators that criminals started to shy away from them. And instead, they turned to the UK. So just how and why did specifically the UK end up at the centre of so many crimes? Let's start with the how, because it's incredibly easy. You go online, go onto the Companies House website, that's our company registry, pay £12 and you too can have a shell company. I registered one myself. It took me less than 24 hours to receive the deed showing I owned the company. I called it Crooked Crook, which I thought was pretty funny, but it turned out that actually I was being fairly unimaginative by the standards of international criminals. Once you have a company, registered in whatever name you like, you can use it to hide your identity when you're moving money around, no questions asked. So that's the how. And what about the why? Well, despite the scandals of recent years, British companies have a veneer of respectability, and our company registry is very large. It has almost 4 million companies on it, and 500,000 more are added every year, so there is a very large crowd in which your company can hide while it's engaging in criminal behaviour. So once these bad guys have a shell company, how does it work in practice? Well, to look at that, let's go to the other side of the continent, to Europe's poorest country, to Moldova. Back in 2014, the average family was getting by on about $300 a month, and yet, in November that year, 3 banks collapsed, owing collectively $1 billion. $1 billion had been stolen from their balance sheets, essentially by criminals using British shell structures, in this case limited partnerships, to lend money to each other in an ever-spiralling quantity, which by November that year, when the merry-go-round stopped, all the money was yanked out and the banks collapsed, owing $1 billion, which is approximately equal to an eighth of Moldova's gross domestic product. Where is the money now? No one knows. It was supposed to be used to build schools, to pay teachers' salaries, to build hospitals, to pay nurses, to buy medicines, but instead it ended up, thanks to the magic of British shell structures, vanishing altogether, disappearing into the global financial system where criminals could enjoy its use. This is just one of tens, hundreds, possibly thousands of equivalent scandals over the last decade. So what is the UK government doing about this? Well, after years of cajoling and campaigning, this man has promised to clean up the system once and for all. He's doing this by insisting that anyone registering a company on Companies House submits to a mandatory ID check and gives greater powers to the registry to check, to verify the information provided to it. Now that's all well and good. To be honest, It should have been done years ago, but better late than never. But still, it's not really enough. We're not giving our company registry the powers to police the registry. They don't have a duty to check the information of companies that are already created, for example. Under the proposed reforms, the registrar of companies will remain a librarian rather a detective, which is what we really need. And to be honest, it isn't really clear how determined the government actually is to clean up our company registry. Reforms cost money, always. But how much money would this actually cost? Let's say instead of costing £12 a year to register a company, it costs £20. That would probably raise enough money for the Companies House to be able to check the information provided to it for every single company. Just £8. It doesn't seem very much of a price to pay, especially when we consider the price that Moldova paid for our failure to do anything about this.